Bass and Bonsai. I thought I'd do a real quick heads up on things I've learned, seen, you know, overheard during the week before we get into this next weekend of fishing, and I totally lose my mind and I try to throw chatterbaits for way too long. Anyway, that's coming up in the video. So you see all these reels out here. I'm probably going to be getting rid of about half of these. Not 100% for sure, but I was doing some thinking. Hello, Daryl. And just kind of due to the fact that if I'm trying to be out here helping you guys track down stuff and myself, although I like certain reels, so I end up buying two of them, and then they don't even really make them like available to you guys anymore. So I'm sitting here fishing with stuff that it's like you can't hardly recommend it. Now, other than probably the Tatula rod, which I just love that rod, and all I can tell you guys is find you a solid tipped rod for a jig rod, for lightweight jigs anyway. Haven't really tried, you know, a heavier, stouter rod with a solid tip, but that rod is awesome. But as far as like reels and your average rod, it's almost like it's better, more beneficial for me to be able to show you guys, like, you know, and be using stuff that you guys can get. So as I'm looking at these two Lingles here, it kind of makes these obsolete for me to keep fishing, because although this sucker here looks cool and this one, you know, still looks cool and gets the job done, it's like, well, they're $100 now on AliExpress, and I mean, although they're probably worth that, it's just kind of a letdown. You can't get them for 75, or when they were on sale, you could get them as cheap as 70. I think I gave like 79 for one time, and like 74 or something, maybe even 70. I can't remember, but 74, something like that. Now they're $99. The Dark Wolf Ultras I can still use because they do still make it. They do have the one now, though, has the, if you guys remember, it's got the fixed magnets, and so it kind of almost makes the older one not really necessarily obsolete, but you can't get this one anymore, the one with the dynamic brake. So I'm thinking about selling this one. So I'm thinking about selling both Lingles, the old Dark Wolf Ultra, keeping this one. Still not sure what I'm going to do with this, the Corrado, because it is a current one and I do still like it, so I'll probably keep it. So we'll probably, you don't see the zillions in here for a reason, at the moment anyway. So these reels and this reel. Oh, this is the reel that and here's the thing, if you guys know and you follow the channel, hello, Mike. Not sure how I got here, but I'm glad I did. Yeah, hey, I said the same thing a lot of times. Oh, Batman, I was getting ready to get to that. I've actually got a little list of notes here of stuff I want to get to, and I wanted to talk about that, and I guess I might as well talk about it now since you asked the question. Master Bass Bonds. I wouldn't call myself a master of anything. Jack of all trades, king to none, right? You guys have heard that before. Let's talk about the Kestrel real quick. Let's talk about the fact that I think the best reel out there now, and the Kestrel won't beat it, is this reel. And this reel still has flaws. That's the Aldebaran 22. I didn't think I wanted this reel. I'm not even sure if I still want this reel, but I'm telling you right now, it is an awesome casting reel. That Aldebaran 22, they got almost everything right except the cosmetics and the freaking dial right here. When you look at the reel this way, it just, there's something about it. It's kind of like the older 16 Aldebaran. It had to grow on me. Like I traded for one, got rid of it immediately. It kind of was a reel that had to grow on me. This reel smokes it in overall what it can do. But I'm going to show you guys real quick. And I know we're getting to the Kestrel. You guys asked about the Kestrel. I've fished this reel now. Do you see that? It's probably gotten a little bit looser, but it's got some crazy, it's smooth as can be. It's probably as smooth as butter, but it feels like ice cold butter, not hot steamy butter. There's a little resistance when you're reeling this thing. You can't really feel it, but here bench testing it, if you were to go to pick one up at the tackle store, you can feel And the older Aldebaran, the 16, was almost the same way. It just was a noisier reel because of spool bearings. And that's one thing. Then we're going to jump to the Kestrel. And I've got a video. I'm going to be putting out another video completely going into more detail. I don't know what they did it, how they did it, but I think Shimano, over even the spool or this overall reel, I think their spool bearings are superior to any other spool bearing I've used. I don't know if you guys watched the unboxing video. I was talking about how this was dragging and I spun. It's amazing just how free spinning that little bitty spool is, and those spool bearings I think are a big part of what helps Shimano reels above the other reels. I know you can buy the other ones with ceramics and this and that or just whatever, but the stock bearings that come on the Shimanos, even the Corrado, they're like above, and these are crazy quiet. They're so smooth, so free, so quiet. The older Aldebaran 16, they were noisy. And a lot of these reels, once you get like a real free and awesome casting reel with the spool bearings, you either have gotten those crazy ceramic micros, and everything tends to make some kind of crazier noise during cast and all that. But that reel is pretty amazing, and I think the most amazing thing about it is whatever little old spool bearings they've got in there. It's like a huge upgrade to the older Aldebaran it replaced. So let's jump on the Kestrel. Charles messaged me. So when it comes to the Kestrel, the Kestrel Elite. First of all, if you guys don't know, I'll just tell you, it shouldn't be a spoiler. I'm not a Cast King fan. I've only ever owned we had the Zephyr. I tried to make myself like that reel. If you guys follow the channel, I tried to make myself like that Zephyr reel. I couldn't. I don't know, something about it. I couldn't make myself like that reel. Charles has it now. He likes it on the rod he's got on the John Koo. I never could make myself like it. The Kestrel Elite, I'll be honest, looking at it, and I'll just hold up one of these reels as we're talking about it. The first initial pictures of the Kestrel, I was very excited. I thought they'd come up with something different. And the reel test alluded to it. It had the 3 springs over here pushing this way, and I thought that would have an effect. I was thinking in my mind it was sort of similar to what the boost spool does on the SV Boost on the Zillion. I was hoping it would be something like that. Well, in watching the reel test, just did his review on it when he was in there, as far as what he could do with it anyway, he couldn't get those magnets. They're still, they're dynamic. They go in and out just like the typical Shimano that everybody's copying now, even though the mags are different shape. Same basic principle, but he couldn't get that thing to move in and out, like it wasn't spring loaded. If you turn the dial, it goes in and out. So that to me is a letdown, because you're not going to have anything new, or there's no new technology. You just change the shape of the magnets. You didn't really change anything. And like he showed you, the springs, they're on the opposite side. You still didn't change any, it's not some new what am I trying to say? Technological advancement. It's just a different way of doing it, right? It's just a different way to make a horseshoe to put on a horse. You can make it out of different material. It's still a horseshoe. I don't even know why I use that, but I used to own horses. The letdown for me for that reel is the shape looks to be very close to the Aldebaran 16, which I've talked about. I like the way it palmed, but this reel I'm holding right here, this reel right here, the new Aldebaran all palm better than that 16 model. The Kestrel looks to have sharper edges than the 16 model Aldebaran even did, and it's got the point up here. I think that's a awesome small reel, but I bet you that you can feel it, kind of like the Black Knight 2. If you guys have watched my videos, I get very nitpicky about certain things on my reels, and I even like the way this thing palmed The old alphas, I like the way they palm. Actually, better than the new alphas. You don't see me with any of the new alpha variants. I think they're just a little off. I know a lot of guys love those reels. I sold Charles at Silver Creek. I'm pretty sure he loves it. A lot of guys love all that kind of stuff, but the palmability is a big factor for me. I'm going out trying to go fishing all day if the bite will let me, and I don't want to, at the end of the day, kind of like this. This is actually from lifting weights, but I don't want to go out at the end of the day and have, these are from lifting weights too, have calluses and bumps and bruises from fishing on something that was just poking or jabbing me, or just felt too big, and you know, your wrist, your fingers, something sore. So most of the reels that you see me end up like sticking with, they first of all have to work real well, but they have to palm real well too. If they look awesome, and I'll use an example, the older TDZs, they just palm a little too big for me. Like I loved the Ito I had. Those are awesome reels. The older, I think it's the 2012 Metanium, that crazy bright silver reel. Man, I love that reel, but I just couldn't get used to the feel of it. And it wasn't far off, it was just off. So I think the Kestrel, I don't think it'll outperform. I mean, I know for 100% it's not going to go just out and blow away. Even though it's got a lighter spool, unless you're throwing a trout magnet and lighter, it's not going to blow any of these other reels away. The newer versions that are out in the last couple years. It may cast the trout magnet further than, you know, the Aldebaran or this guy here, or the newer Alphas variants. It may cast it a little further. It may not. We don't know. We'll find out the real test. He'll let us know, I'm sure. I'm waiting for him to see what he says. But as far as for me, as of right now, the Kestrel is a no for me because of how sharp some of them edges look. The drag star on it, although the shape I kind of like that, you know, where it has the sort of like this. It's got a more aggressive looking, but it looks too big and squared and gaudy for that reel. Looks too cheap just looking at pictures of it and, you know, watching the video. And I don't like the handle, which, you know, that part wouldn't matter to me, but as far as for you guys, I think the handle looks cheaper the way it's cut. The handle and the drag star look like they would be the first thing I would have to totally take off that reel. Other than that, the reel looks good, but it's got the same basic shape as the older Aldebaran, which I think a lot of these newer reels, the new Aldebaran, the Dark Wolf Ultra, the Corrado, because you can go out right now, you can buy this Corrado. You're going to spend a little more money, but the Corrado, they're already selling a crazy light spool that I think is as light as that Kestrel or whatever. And they're already selling one for the Shimano too, I believe. So, I don't know. It's like, it's 220 bucks. I mean, it'd be a no-brainer for me if it was, you know, like what the Zephyr reel was. The Zephyr, and that's another thing. Remind me to tell you guys about the sales going on right now. You can get the Zephyr dirt cheap. If you guys, for those of you that do like the Zephyr, because the Zephyr worked pretty good for all around BFS. It wasn't anywhere in the category of, even with this reel, the Zephyr could not compete with the Corrado. It was way off the pace of the newer Aldebaran or this guy or any of the Alpha variant air reels. But it's a good all-around overall reel as far as castability on, well, over 2 grams. It's not bad. The braking's a little lightweight on it. It needed a little bit better braking system also. And I never really tried to mess with it. We probably could have put magnets on it. And maybe Charles did, I'm not sure, you know, just on the outside like we did on this thing. Add some of those 4 by 0.5 magnets on it, and it may have picked that reel up, made it even a little bit better caster. So as far as right now, I went to the website again and looked. When they had me interested and I was going to put one on pre-order, they had this stupid thing. They took it down, I guess, waiting for iCast to come out. And then so I was like, well, I'll just wait, you know, because the Reel Test said he already had his going. So, yeah. And then real quick, while I'm on the Reel Test, I just want to say, I know I kind of even dog him here on this channel, and a lot of you subscribers. He is definitely biased, and if he's watching this video, he is biased towards Shimano, kind of like I am Daiwa, or the older Daiwa, where I just feel I have a little more. But you'll see me, maybe weed out all my Daiwas. I'll try all of, whether it be Shimano's. At one time it was Abu Garcia's. I still like the Abu Garcia reels. The only downside, and I kind of like to have a bunch of everything, right? Variety is the spice of life. All the Abu Garcias tend to end up being the same exact looking reel, and they just change a little bit, and then now they're on the Roxanne platform, and they're not really the greatest looking. They don't look bad, but they just, I don't know, they all have that same look, and they definitely don't feel as good as a high-end Daiwa or Shimano. They just don't. They don't have, same thing with Lew's. And if you guys that are Lew's fans and you're like, oh, Lew's are the best, well, they're basically Abu Garcias, just with a little bit different shape. They're coming out of the same factory. Just like Dark Wolf Ultra and the Black Knight 2s, they're coming out of the same factory. So yeah, when they switch one, they got the fixed brakes on the new one. Guess what? The report's coming out now that the Black Knight 2, it's got fixed brakes also, because they're coming out of the same place. Why they switched, I'm guessing just for manufacturing, to make it. They probably heard the rumor, or probably had complaints about the brakes and couldn't keep a reel from backlashing, so they sent their guys in. The cheapest way to fix that problem was to do away with the dynamic brakes. Have no idea what's up with the lingle, why they just totally went off. I thought they were selling good, and then they're totally, you can't find them anymore. I don't know if there's a copyright infringement made them pull them off, and there's only one store that's like, screw it, I'll sell what I got left. Or what happened with them, but until they come back, I'm probably going to sell off these, because if they come back, I'll just buy more. If they don't come back, oh well, it was nice while it lasted. These have been good reels. I had one little issue with this reel that I guess I since fixed, and all I really did was I kept taking it apart and putting it back together again until it just didn't have that weird. This would like not want to go down all the way sometimes. I still don't know what it was, but evidently I fixed it, because if you've seen the last several videos, I don't talk about it anymore, and it doesn't seem to do it. This one's my original one, and it never did give me a problem. I throw mainly baits with this that I don't do as much retrieving. It's more like worm, jig stuff. This one gets more reeling, and I think it's about time to probably re-grease it. I noticed and that's funny, they're both sitting here together. That's the loudest reel I have right now. That thing winding it in, that Corrado BFS, it's still smooth as can be, and as free as can be. That's what'll happen when they get real free. There's probably time for grease, but I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's got a little bit, it's starting to get a geary sound. That's a good sign. Take that sucker apart and re-grease it, and it's real free. And this one is just, well, it's got I got too much line. Whenever you reel it all the way up, the knot clatters, so you won't be able to hear it. But it is, it's probably wouldn't hurt to re-grease it now. We're at that point where I've fished them quite a bit, and these two for sure, but if I'm going to do, a couple, I'll probably at some point in time take care of all of them. So the only reel that I've decided I'm only going to keep one. If I keep any of these, the ones that are discontinued, you can no longer get, I'll probably just sell off, even though I love the reels. But the ones that you can still get, I think I'm only going to keep one of. I kind of want to order 4 of these Dark Wolf Ultras and just put them on everything, because they will work for a lot of different things. But then I won't be able to go out and get a lot of different reels. So the only reel that I might not do that with, because I just bought another Zillion. I might not do that with the Zillions. I may just keep those, because I contemplated selling the one I just bought so I could buy another higher end, like either just so I could have a Tatula, so you guys could, that feel left out that own Tatulas. Although I don't really like Tatulas, but that new one that's been out, and there's only like 2,500 of them made. I found a good deal on one I could pick up, but it's hard to justify keeping 2 Zillions of Tatula and then still getting a couple other reels, because there's a few others I got on my list I want to get to try, and then if I really like them, I'll recommend them. If I don't, we'll sell them. So And you guys let me know, because I was talking to Charles about this. I think I'm gonna. Well, I don't think. I know I'm keeping the one you can still get. Okay, so I want to sell the old one, and it does have the dynamic brakes. Now, if you watch the last video and a couple comparisons I had, and this, of course, a lot of you did because it's my most viewed video this last couple weeks. I can't like tell any big issue, so I'm just going to get rid of the one since you can't get it anymore. So if somebody wants a deal on it, and I was telling Charles, Nick, like he'd just soon have a new one, but it's got to still be worth $75 because you can't even get these anymore. Are they any better? Probably not. But the fact that they do still have the the springs in them, and the magnets do work in theory. When you get way down there, like say if you want to be that guy, like I was out there in that one video with that reel casting a half a gram, half a trout magnet. In theory, this would be the better reel for the job, but honestly, I couldn't really tell any difference for all the fishing I do, and even in that little testing lightweight baits. This is still, it's right there. But I'm probably gonna try to sell this $75, and I don't know. I want to try to sell it locally, but if I have to ship it, I don't know. I'd have to eat it's probably gonna cost 10 or 15 bucks. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're watching Ben, I'm not gonna show your address, but Ben, and Ben bought the Aldebaran 50 that I've been talking about selling for the longest time. Ben bought it. It's gone. Oh yeah, and Jay, if you're watching this, you need to let me know if you want this reel or not. I'm selling this alphas also. I decided it's going bye-bye. And you can tell me if you want it just like this with this Daiwa cork knob. And honestly, Jay, if you want this thing for, I don't even know, did I tell you price? I gave like 105 for it. But I'm selling it with all of my older alphas parts. There's a few other spools, some other gears. There's like a bunch of old alphas parts. But I'm selling that. Jay needs to let me know if he wants that or not. If not, it'll be up for whoever else. That's going. The Joker, I can't decide what price to put on it because I think I just want to sell it like that. That is a one-of-a-kind reel. You'll never see another reel like that. You can get no, it's not as good as an Edo 103M or nothing like that. But there's several of those out there. The new Tatula Limited, there's 2,500 of those. You know how many of these there are? You know how many Jokers there are out there? None. This is it right here. Still works fine. Awesome little reel. Got the custom little, that's the shortest handle I know of. It is like 70 or 72, 74 millimeter. It's crazy short. Yeah, I've got the little cork added just to get that raised up. It feels more like an Aldebaran or most of your Shimano's, a little high riser. And this reel works awesome. So I don't know what price to put on it, but when I put a price on it, if it doesn't sell for that, I'm just keeping it, and I will just continue to fish it. Most of these I will. I'll just fish them, and I'll have them out there for sale. If somebody really like jumps on and wants one. This, I think I only gave 170 or 175 for it, so I take my money back on it. And it's going to have, other than this lingle, I'm going to leave alone, but it'll have the stock handle. All these others will come with just the stock handle. The ones I'm selling, this guy will have the stock handle put back on it. And if you guys remember right, the first Black Knight, some of them were coming with bushings in here. They were screwing us around. And this last one came off this dude right here. And it does have all like nice bearings. There's like no, maybe the slightest, that one's got a slight little wiggle, but very, very good. And that, I like that. That 80 millimeter carbon fiber, this right here looks way better to me than that Kestrel Elite, by the way. So yeah, probably 175 for this guy. The old Ling, I think this was like probably 75 for this. I might sell it cheaper. I have used this one a little bit, but you can't get them anymore. They're $100 if you want to buy them. So that's probably still worth 75. Still works just fine. Now they're used. There might be a scratch somewhere. You know, I've not dropped any of these. If you remember right, I sold my Metanium to Jeremy pretty cheap because I had dropped it, and I sold this Aldebaran to Ben fairly cheap because I've it's been used. It was used before I bought it. I bought it, and it's got a a couple little scuffs here and there, but it's a very good deal for an Aldebaran that are still selling crazy high on eBay. So yeah, if you're interested in any of these reels, you can shoot me a message or whatever. I can't. I don't know what to put on this guy. I don't even remember what Eugene sold it to me for. I want to say $200, but I can't remember. And I don't know if they're going what they're going for nowadays. I know you can't get them anymore, and it'll have the stock. Actually, the box has got some funky stuff on it. It had been ripped. I don't think Eugene did that, but he wrote "Don't catch them all" on there. I know that was Eugene when he sent it to me. But yeah, and I guess price it different ways, but it will come with, that's a stock carbon fiber, have not even been touched by me. I just took it off, well, touched enough to take it off. The drag star, and it's got the older style, like it screws on. It doesn't have that spring loaded one, is how it came. And I guess I should mention, it's not the greatest sounding. I mean, it sounds good, but I think I've done better. But I did add, it's got a drag clicker. That was already there, and I can go different ways with this one, but to put it back to stock, I'll leave the drag clicker installed. I'm not going to tear it all the way down for that, but I'll pull the single lifestyle handle, that drag star, I'll put the stock ones back on, probably $200 for it. Like I said, if they don't sell, I'll just keep fishing them. But the reels that are on my list, like I mentioned, and just the fact I kind of want one to try, probably end up selling it before the season's out. I've kind of thought about getting the Tatula Limited just to try to keep a Tatula. It's the only one I've seen that I wouldn't mind owning. All the other Tatulas, even the new ones, just because they're based off the newer style Alphas frames, I'm not enthused about getting. But that Tatula Limited, it's a nice looking reel, and they do work good. The Tatulas I've had in the past, they do work good. I was trying to get myself used to palming them. Nope, nothing left-handed. Everything I own is right-handed. It's the right way to fish, just so you guys know. But seriously. All right, let's talk about some other stuff I wanted to talk about. You're interested in any of these, let me know. I'm just going to... Oh, I know what. I was going to tell you about the reels. The Tatula Limited... And another reel I do not need. I don't even know what part in my mind wants this, but I want one of those new Lus. I know I watched the reel test when he was showing the one from overseas that you couldn't get, and we knew, which he said, that it's just a matter of time before Lus or somebody pops up with it on their website. And sure enough, that's the new Lus Elite and the Pro. The Pro makes the most sense for me to get. It's basically the same reel, but it's got purple, right? And so it would go good with my contest rods. I could put it on the Quick or the Sharp and have an awesome, good-looking combo that goes together. But there's something about that, dark chrome with that gold on that $500 one, the Elite. Every time they put Elite on it, Kestrel Elite, Lose Elite, right? It just, you got to net $100 or so, Same thing with Daiwa. Limited. Throw another 100 on it. So those reels are on my mind. Thinking about the Kestrel, not 100% sure on it. And also these variants. If you guys have seen those, the silver one, is that Solo King or something? Aurora has a silver one. And the Kingdom Microfly has I think it's just a solid black, but you can get purple or pink spools. And it does come with both of those reels. The variants come with shallow and deep spool option kind of deal, but you do away with the braking. You just go to the regular MagTrack style braking. But these are awesome little reels. They palm good. The downside to those two reels, I would have already had probably one of each ordered if they would have been made out of the same smooth molding. They're made out of the Black Knight 2 molding, which does have sharper edges than this. But if you guys have watched the channel, I love the Black Knight 2 until I felt the Dark Wolf Ultra and was like, this one palms smoother. It just has a smoother feel. And so, yeah, even up here where you put your thumb, that Black Knight 2 has like some kind of little cutout thing that I think they do more for, instead of ergonomics, they go more for aesthetics, the looks, and they make those sharp edges and cuts and stuff. But for true, the ergonomics on it, That's kind of why these two reels are maybe the two best palming reels, most comfortable, is because they're just so smooth when you're holding them. Same thing with the, and we were just talking with CJ about he ordered, I guess I gave him, maybe kind of gave him a little nudge or push to get it over a different reel. Same thing with this reel. They kind of use, and that's what everybody should eventually adapt to. If you want to add some edges, do it to where you have a place for a guy's thumb to go right smack dab in the middle. And see how this reel palms, like you can just grab it, nothing's biting in, everything is a smooth edge. And the reel test was right when he mentioned that this kind of has a lot of Shimano-like features, but the one that he forgot to even mention is it's like the old Metanium, the one that when you look at it in a certain way, it reminds you of looking at the old Metaniums or the old D7 Chronarch that everybody still goes nuts over on eBay. Like those crazy reels that still sell for outrageous prices. But it's like they got. I wish they got the perfect shape. I wish the size was just like, maybe a millimeter, maybe two. Like I think they could still call this the Zillion. I think they should make either two things. They should just come out with a different name, or make this in magnesium. Just shrink it down. Whatever it would take to shrink it down, just a hair, and call it the TDZ or something. But there's no issues. Like right there, I've go out there, I fished. You guys probably see me fishing this thing like what seems like all day as much as I talk, right? And I don't have any issues. Nothing is sore. Nothing feels like weird. And it just palms real well. And I like that where the button is, it's kind of up high, which some Daiwas tend to be a little low, but man, I think they got it right with this Zillion. And that SV Boost. And while I'm talking about the SV Boost, I do want to tell you, I was trying to track down the Tatula Limited, and I came across, now they may be everywhere by now, I don't know, because I hadn't really looked yet, but it popped up, and at some point, I'll probably buy myself one. But you can get the SV Boost spool. Oh, I want to show you this one too. Any of you guys familiar with the Tackle Trap? Triple T, the Tackle Trap. It's is it Boise or Bowies or something? It's down in Alabama. Them guys kind of know what they're doing about bass fishing. They've been on a lot of bass forums for years. But they got their online store also, kind of real heavy into Daiwa, Mega Bass, like rods and just, kind of upper end stuff. But they've got these SV Boost spools. I want to say, don't quote me 100%, but I think they're $100. And that, it may sound high, but that's not really that bad in today's Daiwa spools, because sometimes the Shimano's also are very high. They're like crazy high compared to like the cost of some reels kind of deal. But what you could do is for $100 instead of, you don't have to go buy this reel or the crazy Steez, because the only two reels so far there's a few now, the HD and the Silver Fox or whatever the different Daiwas, but you're going to spend $250, $300 for the reel. If you just want that technology and the SV Boost, go to the Tackle Trap, order that spool. If you've got most of your older Zillions, I'm talking old school, TDZ, Zillions, I think most of your Zillions, there's a difference between the regular and the 103 or something. You might want to double check just to make sure, and a lot of the Steezes. So if you've got an old school Steez, there's a good possibility you could put that new spool in any of these older Daiwa, bigger Daiwa reels. Not the Alphas, not the Pixies, but the older ones, big ones. And you'll be surprised just how well that spool does work. That SV Boost, it's legit. And while we're on this, let's talk about that new drag star I just picked up, Gomex or whatever. I like it. 6 points. Looks crazy machined aluminum, like it's. Let me try to get a good shot of it. That drag star is only like $15. on AliExpress. Gomex, Dragstar, Daiwa. It's you got to have the spring loaded. So if you have, you can get this stuff, but I've got other videos out on that, what it takes to order the stuff. If you've got a drag that just screws on, it's not the spring loaded with the square thing that fits in it. But man, that for the 15 bucks, if you remember right, these come with just that Zion, which I'm not a huge fan. It's better than nothing, and that's kind of what, you know, the Dark Wolf Ultras come with that Zion look. They're all right, but when you can go to something like this for 15 bucks, it's way, just gives it a way higher end look. Matches real well. I went with the zero cast control knob, which is that is Daiwa's stupidest thing ever. Oh yeah, and somebody wanted me, if the real test is watching, I don't know if he watches any or all of my videos or some of them, or if for some reason you're watching, somebody wanted to tell you that even though Daiwa says that, that is the most ridiculous thing Daiwa has ever said, did not adjust this. And I've heard some of the pros say it too. So what we all want the real test to know is, dude, adjust that freaking knob, because get it to wherever you set all of your other reels. It's the same as any of your other reels as far as where you're going to want that, typically how you cast. And if you're struggling with casting and you get this thing and you click it this way and it feels too tight, you click it the other way and man, it starts fluffing up and you're like, dude, this freaking thing, I just need it to do. That's where this comes in. You gotta have like micro fine fingers, because even if this one doesn't click, or even if they do click or whatever, sometimes you want a little turn in between those clicks to just, you can fine tune a reel for that day anyway, that will just give you that extra little feeling of you're getting that perfect cast every cast, you know. Now, yeah, if it's windy, you may want to be going clickety click, you know, give it a click or two tighter when you're throwing in the wind or whatever, less. But you do want to adjust that. You cannot rely on, let's just take me for instance, Charlie Hicklin, he's got a job working for Daiwa, and it's you got one job. Put this thing on to whatever spec. And here's another thing. Well, what spec do they go with? What do they go off of? They just got a guy in there going, oh, yeah, that's good. What if I come in and I've had too many Mike's Hard Lemonades, you know, it's freaking Monday morning and I've been partying since Friday night. I come in, I'm like, yeah, that's good. You can't rely on a person setting that little adjustment and being right for you and how you fish. And let's say even if they do, they get that every time. They've got that exactly adjusted the way they want it coming to you. Well, me, the other guys fish totally different ways. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Zero adjuster. What it's for is taking a new guy and it relieves, it eases his mind. He's like, oh, there's one less thing I've got to deal with, which technically you don't have to deal with that. Crank that baby all the way tight, get out there, cast, loosen it a couple notches, cast, loosen a couple notches. But at some point in time, when you develop the casting skills, you're going to want to mess with that and set it up, especially guys like me, guys like the real test. He's been fishing long enough and he knows too that there's some fine tuning and tweaking to be done with that will help your casting. And it could be just a day. Maybe it is windy and you're like, man, I'm not messing with that. You just go just a little tighter. You just tighten that up to where that bait drops and it hits the ground and it does not keep running. That usually just instantly helps you in wind. For whatever reason, it just usually helps you not backlash into wind. Just having that little bit of a more resistance on that spool, not even messing with the magnets. But there's times when you're casting and you go one lighter and it's like, oh man, it's starting to backlash. So you go back to where it was and you're like, oh man, I need more distance. And a lot of times you can just back that off a hair. Maybe it was tight. And I've found times to where the weather will change, just like anything. It swells or it shrinks or whatever. The weather can affect all of this stuff. Like you'll have knobs starting to be bound up. And if this is, however tight it is, sometimes it's just something you got to double check. So anyway, enough about that. The zero adjuster needs to be adjusted. Let's leave it at that. That's the first thing I do on mine is I just see where they had it and then I remove it because on the few reels I've had with it, it's never set the same way each time. They ain't got some guy out there uh, throwing line on it, testing it out and setting that fine tuning it for you or nothing like that. It needs to be adjusted. What else was I going to talk about? That was a long rant. Oh, CJ's trying to talk me in left-handed. Nope. Me too. I've went out and tried it. It ain't for me. I'm telling you. What grease and oil brand do you use? Whatever kind Shimano sends me. Basically. Shimano tends to give you oil all the time, so at some point in time, that's just what I've got. Now, I do use this, and I think it's called the Real Butter from Ardent. I think it's just because I bought it years ago and it never runs out. And it's by far probably not the best, but the Ardent, and then I've got some Shimano stuff for the oil. Honestly, I was looking, I was going to get, I think Lucas Oil makes a oil. I was going to get that to try. But I don't think there's anything wrong if you can get your hands on the Shimano oils. As far as grease, I used to use hot sauce. I actually liked the Quantum hot sauce, the red stuff, the oil and the grease. But the grease it just finds its way onto you and onto your cork and onto stuff, and everything ends up red. But I always had, I can't really say that I've ever had the greases I've tried. They're usually one recommended for, fishing, the Ardent, the hot sauce, and I don't know, there's a few other brands before that, but I think, yeah, Ardent, I think Luz, didn't they make their own ever? I've had some of the Abu Garcia ones and stuff. I don't really have a huge preference over that. Jay's checking in, but he's got to go to bed. That's what happens when you get old. I wasn't talking, I was talking trash on Jay. I think I was talking trash on you, Charles. Maybe I was talking trash on Jay. Oh, was I talking trash on Jay about this? Yeah, maybe. Just about letting me know if you want that reel or not. Okay, I moved the reel and I saw these chatterbaits. Let's talk chatterbaits real quick. And the jackhammers. And I know as much as Brew Tank Outdoors, and he's not here right now, he wanted me to do some kind of giveaway. And I thought about giving away the jackhammers. Well, that's out. Jackhammers, I'm still using them just kind of so I can still compare them to my other ones, because I started, if you guys noticed, I have the, missing some fish issue, and I think I solved it. I think it was just me and Charles both getting laxed on our hook sets. Because, Charles would get some right to the boat and they come off. Of course, they were little ones, and we'd laugh and yeah, this and that release. But I was paying attention to myself back in videos, and I'm not really, I wasn't setting the hook like I used to. I was just kind of, can we say the word on here since I'd made it not for kids? Half-assing it. I was just kind of like, not really paying attention which way I was yanking, just kind of giving them a halfway yank. And in the summertime, you can kind of get by with that sometimes in the winter and when a fish isn't fighting crazy hard. But now, once we got in this crazy warmed up summertime, I was missing fish big time. And so we had the huge talk about the chatterbaits and this and that and the hook size. Well, when I went out and I just fished them on my big rod, and I made sure, which is true, and I kind of rewatched some videos. You kind of want to make sure you can feel that fish in kind of a sweeping hook set with the chatterbait. And we talked about the blade, and that's what I think it is. I think the biggest issue on the big ones, the little ones probably don't make as big a difference, but if you just let a fish hit that and your knee-jerk thing is to yank as hard as you can or almost do like a freaking slack line and like, G-Man says on the jigs, kind of deal, and you do like a jig hook set, well, what more likely you're doing is you like a can opener, you're popping that mouth open, and its hook may still stick them somewhere, but it's probably further out of the mouth and probably not as good as a hook set as if you would have just pulled into it, make sure that this is coming this way, and then it's going to bite in and you get a better hook set. But you still have to yank. I mean, you still have to give them the good pop no matter what hook, really. That's where your gear should be. You shouldn't be worried about pulling so hard that you're going to straighten the hook out or yank the hook completely out of the mouth. That means you're fishing with too stout of a rod, which I thought for a split second maybe that's what I was doing, but then my mind kicked back in and went, you dummy, for years you fished half ounce everything with a medium heavy and you had actually better hookup ratios. So I don't think it's the hooks, definitely on any of these bigger, your bigger square bills, your half ounce rattle traps, your, any pretty much bass bait that's close to, 3/8, half ounce, 3/4. You need that bigger kind of rod. Now, yes, sometimes you need one with a little more forgiveness, but most of my rods have like that mid flex. The only one that I have that's not would be the Tatula. It definitely gets in the backbone a lot quicker. But what's funny about it is I can set a hook on like these guys as hard as I want to, and they're kind of a lighter wire, but they're almost like a jig. But I do have it's 10-pound test, and I have the drag set that it does give before this hook would straighten out. Now, there's no doubt in my mind if I rig this up with 15-pound test, probably on that same Tatula rod, and set the drag a lot tighter, I could probably straighten that hook right out on a good hard hook set. So anyway, I was trying to figure that out, and I've decided to keep the jackhammers in the lineup. I'm debating, and you guys comment on what you use for those of you that do fish jackhammers or spinner baits, regular half-ounce size baits. Do you guys have a actual dedicated crankbait rod in your lineup that you use for crankbaits or you use for spinner baits and chatterbaits? Because I was kind of rewatching the Brett Height, and I'd seen it before, and the pushing the evergreen rod and the big heavy 7'4" heavy action glass rod for chatterbaits. I'm like, man, that's in my mind's overkill. I kind of went back and watched some of my old videos, and other than me just putting a little more power to it and kind of a sweep, I definitely had a little bit different hook set back then. I was using a medium heavy 6'7" Abu Garcia Fantasista rod, and man, I had pretty good hookup ratios with that rod. It was stout. It was probably a little more stout than these rods I've got now. And I was setting the hook harder, but I was using Z-Man Original strictly. That was right before the jackhammer. That is a huge honking hook. So it almost makes me wonder if the Z-Man Original isn't still the best chatterbait for hookups. You just have to have a little tougher rod. But most all of them come now with these, which I believe are good. These are the Omega Custom Tackle, and I can say I really don't have much of an issue with hookups on those, but I'm kind of weeding them out of my lineup. I think Tackle Warehouse is doing away with theirs too. And that leads me to my next thing. I wanted to make sure and let you guys know, for those of you that don't know, you're going to know now. Yeah, so Jay wants to eat all right, yeah, it's not going anywhere. I just was like, I think, while I was thinking about, selling some of these others, I'm like, I'm pretty sure Jay wants this for sure. So yeah, get with me. The Aldebaran, the Ito will be gone. I'm getting rid of the older Dark Wolf Ultra. Possibly both Lingles. I don't know. The Joker, I may just hold on. I'm not a collector. I've told you guys that I don't know how many times. And I hate, once stuff starts sitting around for a while, I start feeling like I'm a hoarder, and I'm going to be on one of those episodes where they're coming through my house and you can't even get in the house for all the rod and reels and tackle bags and crap, and I don't even go out and fish anymore, kind of deal. I want that focus. So I don't want to be that guy, right? So I just kind of, once I'm done using something, or I, have it, feel the need has been done, we've tested it, we know it's good, or whatever, move on. If I can't live without it, I'll keep it. Kind of the Tatula rod, kind of the Zillion, at the moment, the new 22 Aldebaran. But I ain't gonna lie, if the real test goes out there and he shows that Kestrel and it just smokes this baby in some department that I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. But I like that reel. Aldebaran 22, Shimano. For those of you that are Daiwa fanboys, the shit mono. I still got a bad taste in my mouth for the way they did us dirty on the two reels, right? You guys know that story. They took the Chronarch D, did away with it, put the Chronarch E, which was the Corrado E, so that you couldn't get the Corrado E anymore. They just upped the price like $20, and it was just pretty much the same reel painted white, but it was probably as good as the Corrado, didn't look as good as the Corrado, and definitely not as good a seller as what the people just love that Chronarch D, which is funny because it's basically a metanium made out of aluminum, and you can right now get the metaniums on eBay like crazy cheap, and they're awesome reels. Palm kind of big, so I'm not going to be getting into anything. I debate about getting, I almost got one, but I'm like, man, I won't like the way it palms. So the right now you can go on. They're doing closeout. So you know when the ICAST comes and all this new stuff, Tackle Warehouse, kind of like us, they're getting in all new stuff to sell to us. So the stuff that's there, that's been there, they've got some discontinued stuff basically. So they're having what they call their summer sale. If you don't know about it, jump on there. There's a lot of good deals. I'm debating about buying a couple more jackhammers. I know, because they're on sale right now for like $10, but not the half ounces. I don't want any more of those. I already have 3 half ounce and one 3/8 ounce. But I've been debating because I don't know. I just watching Brett Hyde fishing, and guess what? He's fishing out in deep water with that 1.25 ounce frickin' jackhammers. So I started looking around, and you can't really find. There's not that many of them. First of all, that are that heavy, and we know the jackhammers work. You definitely can't get an AliExpress one for $3.50. Well, the 1.25 ounce jackhammers are on sale right now for $12. So I thought about buying two, the Beehite Delight and a black and blue. So it's like $24, 2 jackhammers to try fishing deep, to try my hand at, because I feel somewhere around 6 foot, the chatterbait just go off. You're trying to fish chatterbaits any deeper than maybe even less than 6 foot. Somewhere around that area, it's probably a no-go. Even with the half ounce with a pretty good sized trap, it just kind of like, I think that's where the rattle trap, good square bill, something like that just kind of kicks in and works better, in my opinion. Shallower water, up along grass lines, stuff like that, that's where the chatterbaits are best. But what about, and I watch Brett Hyde doing it, but he's kind of like obligated to do it, right? He's a chatterbait guy, right? He's won tournaments with it, so he's kind of required to try to use it in every which way he can, use that evergreen rod and use his jackhammer that's got his name on it in most situations that he can. So it may suck everywhere else, that the normal ones do. So I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. Can't decide yet. If I did do that, I would jump on there because right now they got the Fritz Perfect crankbait rods. They're also on sale for like $50-some. So I'd probably buy one of those to throw the 1.25 ounce jackhammers on to just kind of try both. Try the crankbait rod with the deeper divers and regular chatterbaits. And I may even give fluoro a shot, but probably what I do is I just take my 15-pound test, P-Line Original copolymer, and spool it up on a reel. And if I wanted to go nuts, I could buy that $500 Lose reel to match up to the David Fritz Lose rod that's only $55 on Tackle Warehouse. But before I forget, and maybe you guys already know, I jumped on there, and this is another rod that I don't want, but I want. I was debating about the Dobbins, right? They got their BFS rod. Well, up until today, I didn't realize that they definitely have a lot more links now. I thought they just had like a 7 foot and a 7'4", one action. Well, right now you can jump on there on Tackle Warehouse. They're not on sale, but you can get a 6'5" light, a 6'9" light, a 6'9" light, I believe, that's fast action, so it's going to have a little different action. And then you can get the 7 and the 7'4", but I think they also come in either like so basically you got a more moderate or a fast action, right? So there's like 4 or 5 options on a BFS rod on the Dobbins rod. So I don't know, $189. That's a lot of money for a rod that I probably wouldn't, because I've the 6'5" just spoke to me right off the bat. I'm like, ooh, 6'5". And I think the colors on the Dobbins would match up pretty good with the new Aldebaran. So I was just thinking, all around. But I would probably honestly end up with a disappointed feeling because it's probably, and as I said, feeling, it's probably not going to be any better than the filling rod that I already have. Decisions. There's a lot of new stuff out. ICAST just came up. All right. Good night, Jay. We'll talk to you later. Just want to hit me with misses. Yeah, that's true, Charles. But yeah, get with me, Charles. We're going fishing this weekend. Me and Charles, I think, are going Saturday. Not 100% sure yet. Charles trying to get me to go night fishing. You guys think I ought to do night fishing? He's got some cool LED lights. And so, I don't know. It's a possibility. Actually, Charles, let's for sure, not this weekend, but next weekend. Maybe for sure then, because I probably will be doing an all day, night, whatever fishing deal. But I'll get with you more on that later. But this weekend, I think I'm just want to go hit somewhere. It's because they're looking for chances of rain and different stuff. So I probably want to hit somewhere Saturday morning and then maybe Sunday morning. I think you said you're busy, and I'll probably go with Matt. That's when it's really calling for rain. If you guys go back and look on past videos when me and Matt are fishing, it's a miracle. This last time, I think we made it 2 times out, and then in the last video you saw us with our rain gear on. Me and Matt are usually fishing in the rain. Me and Charles, I think we've been getting in the rain here and there, but nothing like, I think Matt's bad luck when it comes for rain. You're going to get in the rain, thunderstorm, hail, and all that kind of stuff. But so be looking forward to that fishing coming up. The video is getting ready to drop right now is me out trying like a moron to keep using chatterbaits. Chatterbaits, chatterbaits, chatterbaits. And then I'm like, oh, let's try the jabberjaw. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. And while I'm talking about the jabberjaw real quick, I'm just going to talk about all the square bills in the world, right? Or all that we have. So let's start with our little square bills. Now, I do recommend these, the Perberos. You guys know the deal on those. I got this color. I'm going to go, well, I don't know. I'm going to make it to that place up the road that loves this color. And that's the only reason I bought this color. I found that color, and I'm like, that will probably work at the place up the road. But I do like the Perberos, and they're like probably the smallest square bills I really like. Once you get into this small, these guys over here, they'll work. Probably better for little creeks and streams, but like for the bigger ponds, little lakes, pits and stuff like that, I think they're too small for me anyway. Like these are good too though, these Bagley ones, and they're pretty small. These are awesome little ones too, but they're a little more money. The Perbero's only $2, probably do the same thing. Go with the Perberos. And this one, whatever site this one came off of, came with awesome hooks right off the bat. So did this one here. The original Perberos, I don't even think I've got any with the stock hooks on them. Man, them hooks kind of sucked. But it didn't take much to switch out the hooks. But that's one of the original ones I got. That color. And it seems they work. They still work. I've still caught some fish, but it seems like they work better the colder the water is. And of course, Dr. Krankenstein, you can't go wrong with the doctor. Just when you have to catch a fish, like I need a fish. I need to put a smaller hook on. Dude, that is way too big. What are you doing with that hook on? So, I don't even know if I put a video out yet or not. It was on the same time I was comparing the Dark Wolf Ultras. These 2 new baits, one wasn't true and then one was, but I trued the other one up. Man, these little baits actually work very good. I didn't catch any fish because the bite was just kind of weird. But those little dudes right there, they're just kind of a little deeper version. They'll get down deeper than these other. They're a little bit smaller than the Perberos. Like the length is longer, but they're actually a smaller profile. You know, in the water, they're going to look smaller. But they get down a little deeper than these guys, I believe. And they were going through wood like real good, felt good, and the cranks and reeling. So I think these are going to be very good. I got to find the right time for them. They got little rattles in them too. But a bait that I haven't seen, you guys know the deal. If you follow the channel, I had a crazy year where I just bought like every square bill that I could get my hands on, and we did little shootouts and trials, and nothing seemed to beat the Dig It. Remember? The Dig It. And the little bait still works. If you watch that video that was just out, me and Charles went to a place. I caught 2 on this. Finally, it got Charles to pull out one of those little brats, the Rapala brats that I actually had put up against this. I didn't feel it was as good, so I sold them to Charles for like $1 a piece or $2 or something. But anyway, still an awesome bait. Can't get it anymore. Well, then we went fishing with Matt, and which I'd seen these. They've been out for a while. Of course, anything that they call resembles a chatterbait, right? Because it's got this blade. I've been eyeballing these, but Matt's had some, and he's like, yeah, he goes, when they're on, they're on, and when they're not, they're not. And I'm like, yeah, I'll probably try them. And he's right, but these things, it seems like there's going to be a time of day where they're on, is what I'm finding out anyway. And it's like when everything else shuts off, or it's just that kind of day where nothing else is working. Man, these things seem like they will kick on a bite, and a ferocious bite. Like the 2 times that they've like nothing seemed to be really working that great. The bite, we got in the middle of the day, and it's like, man, the bite just kind of sucks. And me and Matt I didn't get these out and throw them that day. Me and Matt, we were kind of done anyway, but our bite slowed down. And we're like, let's just call it. And I didn't even try these. But the other 2 days, I was by myself. One day I was with Charles. I'm like, well, let's try this. And man, it brought on this ferocious bite for like 10 minutes. And we've caught fish. So this video you're getting ready to watch, chatterbaits were horrible. I tried every color. That citrusy fire tiger color, I finally caught a bass. And then nothing else. But then I threw on the shallow one, started to catch fish, and then put on the deep one to try it, and also caught fish on it. No huge giants, but a couple decent, couple dinks. I don't know, 6 or 8 fish total maybe between the two. But on a day where literally I threw chatterbaits for an hour or 2 and caught 1 fish, and then these probably within an hour, half hour, 45 minutes, I just got on a roll a couple different times. So in this color, I definitely think is legit. I'll be honest, there's not a big variety of colors in 13 fishing stuff in general, in my opinion, on what I do and don't like. So what I'm going to be doing now, is, since these are more, and I started throwing, I think these need to be thrown on a pretty good rod. They got pretty good hooks. I'll probably be putting these up against some of these baits and start throwing these a little more, because they're smaller, but they're closer probably in size to these big dudes than they are to the little bitty dig it. But I don't care how big they are. If they just can kick on a bite when the bite is tough, that's the bait for me. Like when chatterbaits aren't working, before you go to worms or whatever. And then I did go to worms, and worms, I caught some, but they were actually smaller. These were catching a little bit bigger variety of fish. So if you guys have been hesitating about the jabberjaws, I can't. I mean, they're like a $12 bait. I know, compared to a $2 AliExpress Proberos. But man, they should last forever until you lose one. I already did lose one. I had a chartreuse one. I already lost. But that's another thing that you guys have heard me talk about a couple times. I got to hurry up and get me a lure retriever, because I'm tired of losing. I've lost like 3 or 4 rattle traps. I lost that dude. I probably lost $50 worth of baits in the last 2 weeks, 3 weekends. $1, $10, $15, whatever, even if it's a $20 lure retriever, would have probably solved all that problem, because it's just right when it gets down just below where your rod can't get down there and push it free, you're hung up. Horrible. That's perfectly what happens with rattle traps. And then some of these, this deeper diving one actually, I guess, gets down in there to that. I think it says right on the back, 7 to 9 foot. So yeah, when it hits 9 foot and you got a 6'7" or even a 7'4" rod, you ain't gonna reach it, and it's done unless you have a lure retriever or you like swimming. I'm always leery of, like, I'm gonna get down there, jump in, hold myself underwater, end up hooking myself, and I'm stuck underwater with the hook in my hand. I got 2 options: rip the hook completely out of my hand, which is gonna hurt like a nightmare, so I don't drown, or that kind of deal. So I don't go messing with it. Get a lure retriever, right? Right. Okay. What else do we want to talk about before I wrap this video? Oh, wow, we're already an hour in. We already put Jay to sleep. Oh, my goodness. I did write notes. You guys don't want to see him. It looks horrible. I wanted to write notes of what I want to talk about. I can't even read my own notes. What does that say? Oh, yeah. Talked about that. Oh, we talked about everything. Everything I can think of. And you guys let me know. If you watched all the iCast different stuff, what's on your mind about wanting to get, James says, I like those, have to look them up. Which ones are you talking about? The jabberjaws? Those are awesome baits, if that's what you're talking about. Now this one, let's, I guess, just talk about a few other square bills. This one I haven't really had time to put a good time in. I did get it off AliExpress, but I don't think it's going to be very I think it's kind of a shallow running and it's kind of big, so the Priveros probably beats it out. This is an awesome bait. Lucky Craft. You can tell it's gone on a few sprees where, man, it was tearing them up. Honestly, I haven't thrown this one in probably a while. And then the Booyah, I can't remember what they call this. Can I read that? I don't know if I've got my glasses can read that. It just says Booyah. I don't see the name of what bait it is, but that bait isn't horrible, but man, none of these. This one, I mean, it's a tried and true bait. Those are the silent. Somebody, I don't know if they're the originators of a true square bill for throwing it right in and around the crosswood. But those baits are always pretty good. I like some of these flat-sided ones. I think I got rid of my Fritz flat side, but I had a horrible white, just a plain white. I didn't like the look. I don't know. I may get another one because I've heard those are pretty good baits. I had the one. I think I sold it to Charles for $1. At one time, I liked these. This is what, just those small little RC sticks, but they're a little bit smaller. They're kind of like the Priveros. They're probably about the same freaking thing. These are a lot more expensive. They're not crazy expensive, but... And the only other one, and there was a brief time last couple years ago, that little dude there I got on a crazy bite, and I thought it was going to be awesome, but it never really kicked back in. 6 cents. That's their littlest one. And other than that, one day, I've caught them here and there, but it's never just gone on like, wow, that's the bait. I like the color, and it does work. It seems to go good. I don't know. Doesn't really just speak to me. This is probably my favorite color out of all these that usually just works. Now, I've had a couple painted by Norm. You can still get these on eBay. This one, dude, it flaked off. But that color right there seems to also work good. And the one thing about these Megabass knockoffs, they do rattle. And the Megabass themselves, they don't rattle. But the same, that's a Megabass one there. Like if think I'm around clear water, spookier fish, I'll try to throw that dude, kind of clear. But usually I'm throwing this dude, murkier. You know, just if I can't see 4 or 5 foot or further, I'm throwing brighter, louder square bills. Almost all the time. 90% of the time. All the time. That kind of deal. But I do have that one, just a natural, I think it's a good color. And it usually is one of those two, like if I don't want to go down to the small stuff, finesse-y. That's kind of a finesse-y way to just throw something. It's kind of big, but it's kind of just subtle. It goes through there. Quiet, awesome color. In clearer water, I really like that, dude. I don't even know if I've thrown it. I don't think I've thrown it at the real clear pits. I think I threw it down the off-road park. But I think this may be my favorite square bill now. I'm going to get out, probably put it up against some of these, maybe even the Dig It. So be looking forward to those videos. I'm probably going to be throwing, these littler guys will be on the Feeling or the actual Teton. Any of these bigger hooked, bigger square bills, these are going to be going on possibly the Sharp, but more than likely the Quick or the 13 fishing rod. Just to make sure it's either going to hook them or rip their head off, right? Right. So anyway, got to ship that to Ben. Got to get with Jay on that. I don't think anybody else has said for sure they want anything else. If you guys do, let me know. I'm going to put together at least 5 or 6 rods to be fishing with this weekend, which I already have my 2 Zillions and the Shimano Aldebaran. I'll probably slap the newest Dark Wolf Ultra and the Corrado back on something fishing. Possibly take the old Lingle. It's hard to go anywhere without this Lingle on that Tatula rod. But I'm tempted to get rid of the Tatula rod. I'm just not ready to look for a replacement for it. That thing just works so good for the shaky head or the wobble head, right? Any bottom little smaller jig style hooking, I feel that that's probably my best rod for hookups for those. It sucks for spinnerbait. The one day I threw some spinnerbaits with it, oh, it's horrible. Do not like the hookup ratio of spinnerbaits on that Tatula rod. But for all the bottom contact stuff, it seems legit. What else? Is that it? I guess that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Do I want to order any handles? Nah. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys later. I guess let me know what reels, like I said, how do you chatterbait? For those of you the guys that do chatterbait, 3/8 half-ounce chatterbaits, what do you use? Do any of you guys throw the 3/4 or the 1.25 ounce chatterbaits, the jackhammers? You know, what rod do you use? Do you use the same rod for all your chatterbaits? Do you use, you know, same rod for all of your, which I did for a long time. I still do occasionally. I'll use one rod for all my half-ounce baits. I'll throw a half-ounce. I'll actually go out with the jerk bait, half-ounce, with a half-ounce rattle trap, half-ounce spinnerbait, half-ounce chatterbait, and you know, a square bill, roughly these bigger ones, those like Megabat, they're roughly. I'll throw all 5 different, complete different baits, even a half-ounce jig, half-ounce swim bait. So 6, 7, whatever, all on one rod. Just like the medium, almost on the verge of being medium heavy. Because I think you can. I think it's one of those things. If that's the only rod you had and you're out there using just those baits, you do develop to where you get confident with the hook set that you have to change. You know, for the jig, you're just gonna yank hard, kind of straight up. Any you're coming off the bottom things. Then you're moving baits. You kind of want to do that sweep. You know, pull into it. You know, with a good hard and firm yank. Not necessarily trying to yank their head off of them, but that kind of deal. But anyway, let me know what you guys use, how you use it, and all that kind of stuff. Uh-oh, somebody else. Nicole Rivera. Oh, you don't even want to know. How says how heavy do you go with the lures you use with the Cayenne 661 light? What's the perfect spot? Well, I don't know what the perfect spot is, but if you haven't watched any of my videos, I've thrown over ounce baits with this thing. That big whopper plopper, I've thrown it. Now you don't want to rear back and cast it as hard as you can, but I've lobbed out crazy heavy baits that you should not be throwing with this little rod. But this rod is perfect for probably starting at 3 or 4 grams is perfect. It'll throw like a 2 gram or a 1/16 ounce crappie jig, but there's probably better rods, you know, for it. But if you know, I've done it before, and you can go crappie fishing with this. You can take or go to the little creeks and streams. I think it's a little overkill if you get on too small a fish. But if I had to call it like a sweet spot, would be something like this, little micro 1/8 ounce, or even those little 1/16 ounce chatterbaits with like some kind of trailer on them is a perfect little thing. Excellent for the 16. This is an 1/8 ounce. Actually, this is even bigger than 1/8 ounce. It's like a 1/4 ounce head. But a 1/16 ounce shaky head with either worms or zinkers, that's a perfect spot for that Cayenne Teton 661. Here, I'll just give you guys a rundown. Since you asked, here it is. 661 baits that I throw, other than that, or would recommend anybody could throw. Pretty much every bait you see in there, except maybe these littlest guys. It'll throw them. You know, I could go out there and throw them right now, but you'll have more fun if you're trying to throw something like this. It'll throw it. But if you're going into those real little bitty, you know, 1/16 ounce, little 1.7 grams or 1/16 ounce little baits, you'll have more fun because you're going to be catching real little fish on like the 522 SUL, or, you know, just a little lighter rod overall, because it'll do it, but it's just it's a little bit much of a rod for baits that little. But when you get into any of these other baits, these poppers are excellent for it. I think they're like, what, 3.5 grams. These little bitty rattle traps that are, I think that's the littlest rattle trap that the Rattle Trap brand makes. These little UL crank 3s, whatever I'm reading right there. All these baits are perfect for the Teton 661, the Aldebaran 22 is a probably overkill for some of these baits, but it's also a perfect bait or reel for these baits. These little jerk baits here. This jerk bait, these are probably, it'll throw these, but these are almost in the lineup with these, down here. It'll throw them, but you're almost, the little dinks you're going to get with this, you're in a little bitty hooks, you're probably better off to use like the 522 SUL, maybe even get the CU double, that kind of thing. This would be a perfect bait too. Well, this one you almost need a little stiffer tip than what the 661 has. It'll throw it no problem. It's just you gotta kind of, I don't know, you gotta, it's kind of weird, but I think I've fished it with it before and caught a fish or two. So if I had to put a weight on it, it would probably be 3 grams to just however much you care to bend the rod and cast. But I've fished pretty steadily with like 1/4 ounce baits, well, I don't have it out because it's in my topwater box. But if you guys have seen me, one of my favorite things to do, and I just did in a topwater video, is basically like a 1/4 ounce, the Pop X, like this size baits. I really love fishing these kind of baits on that Teton. It's an awesome rod for that. These are probably like its little wheelhouse, like a 4 gram little crank up to a probably 8 gram crank. You know, you wouldn't want to throw the 1/2 ounce baits. I'll show you on like these guys here. The Dig It is an awesome bait for it if you can come across anything like that. The smaller 6 cents cranks, those little RC sticks, that real little bitty Guggen Squad, their smallest crank. You don't want to throw you can, but you don't want to, because you will suffer a little bit from hookups. I'm not saying you can't. I mean, if somebody really wanted me to watch me in a video, go out and try it. It'll cast these no problem. I mean, you can rear back and cast them, but you're not gonna get the distance you would with a little bit stiffer rod, but you'll still be able to get out there. But the hookup ratios are going to be a little bit off because these aren't, these are kind of getting into that verge of you probably need something stouter. Like the filling rod would probably do that, but I'll probably actually be throwing these with the, at least the Quick or the Sharp, and maybe even that 13 Fishing, what they consider like a medium, the Fate Black. But this bait, nah, these are, you're pushing the limits on these right here. Let me see. I'd probably throw this, no problem. See how these hooks are a little bit smaller? I don't know if you guys can make out that sizes. So you are talking with, that one hooked me. You're talking a little different class of hooks. These are a lot smaller than these guys, and these guys are right there close. It all comes down really with the Tetons anyway. Kind of a hook size thing for the hookups, because they'll throw a crazy heavy weight compared to what their ratings say on them. But that 661, I mean, it says 2 to 10 grams, which isn't far off, but it'll go way over 10 grams if you want. If you want, it'll go over 10 grams. But it says 3 to 8 pound line, so it's not far from that. I just run 10 pound line just to make it easier on me. Awesome rod though. Awesome rod. They make it a 2-piece that you can get. I still recommend that. Like if this rod broke today, I would go get a Teton 662, just because I always feel the need. I want this rod around, right? It's one of those kind of deals. That's like the Tatula. If the Tatula broke right now, I probably wouldn't bother with trying to track down another old one that matched it exactly, even though it is an awesome rod. But I would work on finding one that has that exact same action and feel. Kind of just like this, well, I kind of have the same kind of feel going on between the 13 Fishing medium compared to my the Quick and the Sharp. It's almost in between those two, so I actually like that. I kind of have like those, you know, the Three Stooges. They fit right in there. You know, the one's stiffer. The Sharp is way stiffer than the Quick, and then the 13 Fishing rod kind of fits right in the middle of those two. So, it, you know, I don't feel I have anything's lost right there. I've got a good kind of staged steps up. I don't have a step way here and way here, so I need to fill the gap. So I've already filled it with the 13. And then underneath all of those is where that Teton, you know, underneath the feeling, the Teton's just a little softer, and it's like that last almost a mid to full flex rod that is still capable to set like a shaky head. These little VMC, I want to say that's a 2, but a finer wire. It does have some give, and it's a finer wire. Because you go lighter than that, like the CU double and most other light rods other than the filling are just a touch too light to like kind of cover that all around spectrum for me anyway. Yep, Eugene says he's got the Dobbin 7-foot. Yeah, I was just telling Eugene that Dobbin's. I was kind of debating not getting one. You know, I was like, no, I'm not getting one because they're 7-foot. But now I just seen that they actually have the 6'5" and a couple different 6'9". I'm thinking about getting one of those. James says he's liking the Xinghe rod. Which one is that? So the 6-footer sucks, but the longer version is nice. You're not talking about the Ace Hawk, are you? The Venom? Is that the one you're talking about? I don't know. I got to get out of here, guys. It's getting late, and this is another one of those record live streams. I do thank you guys that join in, and those who just watch this as it goes. Some of these live streams tend to get more views than my actual videos out fishing that I have to edit for like a couple hours. Down here, I just come down here and shoot the shit and say a few cuss words every once in a while. This video's not made for kids, YouTube. Thank you. But anyway, I got to get out of here. Stay tuned. We got more coming. I'm dropping a video first thing in the morning. The struggle is real, but man, I'm telling you guys, watch those jabberjaws. They will kick in. And that new slobber knocker coming out, you guys comment below, because I'll read these comments after this video's been out for a while. You want the lingo. Nate wants the lingo. Which lingo you wanting? This one's going to be more money. I haven't decided on price on this. This lingo, 75 bucks. Probably going to go... I don't think I can let it go for 100 because that drag star is 15 or 20. How much was that drag star? I made this. I cut this down. If you guys remember that, I had to buy this separate piece. I've cut that. Like that is a crazy custom, very short. And then this was like 7 or 8 bucks. Like I got like 35 bucks just in this little stuff right here about half again. Plus, I had to take, if you guys remember right, I had to take a turquoise fox and a lingle, switch that together to get the color, added that little custom piece, which that didn't cost me any money, just a little time. It's just a sentimental value. I don't know, you guys comment, what do you think this real, one-of-a-kind Joker would be worth if I do sell it? Everything's for sale. Just a matter how much to sell it for. But yeah, 75 bucks. 175. Not this one. Oh yeah, this one's 75, 200, and I think me and Jay already talked about a price, but Jay's gonna buy that one. Keeping this one. I got to have at least one of what's new and out there that I recommend. This is the, if you get in a reel for BFS fishing off AliExpress, hands down, Dark Wolf Ultra blows everything else away. Palmability. If you're like Charlie, I like purple. Get the Black Knight too. You don't care about the ergonomics. You like the aesthetics better. Then maybe you like the Black Knight too. It's the same reel. If you don't really care about throwing trout magnets, or you just want an all-around reel, the kind of variants of these, that Silver Solo King Aurora or the Kingdom Microfly, the all-black one with the purple and pink spools, I kind of recommend those because they're pretty much built on the same thing. I was going to do it tonight. You guys hear that? Hear that? That's louder. I'm gonna, at some point, I'm taking this reel apart and I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna figure out why it's so muffled. It can't be much. There's just gotta be a little something to bend or tweak somewhere to get it to click louder. The clicker is real loud. This, like I was out on the water, I couldn't hear it clicking. You should be able to hear that baby. You should be able to hear those drag clicks, right? And this one just has a, they're there, but they're so freaking quiet. Not good. That's what you want. Ding, ding. Got it. Right, Jared Wheeler? Ding, ding. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Get out, go bass bonsai, but whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. I'm having fun going sleepy. Bye.